What is optimism is that things go bad, things don't work out. You have setbacks in life, but you don't give up. You don't say things are bad and sit back. That will worrying will not solve anything, right? So I had an Enfield motorcycle dealership. Then I added Honda scooters for that, Luna mopeds. Then I made 8 branches in Hassan and surrounding Taluk and district
And then
headquarters.
some restaurants along with everybody would come for repairs and then they would eat in the
Yeah, they would
restaurant.
come to the restaurant. I had a Udupi hotel.
Yeah.
So a whole lot of things I did.
Did English come in your way?
So
Did
the
you
first
not
when
clear
I
the
went,
first attempt because of English?
when I went there, I failed. Don't be interested in people. Be curious and interested in ideas. Your dream possesses you. You had to be possessed to the point of madness.
So that's when you thought a carpenter in US could fly, and why not a carpenter in India?
With 5 crores, I started the airline. So it's not easy for a manufacturer because the taxation is very high. Population of Europe is about 300 million. They sell 700 million tickets. They only have to ask one question. How do I make more Indians, the common people, to fly?
I'm sure with the success of Air Deccan came a lot of fame, a lot of money. Tell us about the vices as well. How did you deal with the female attention? How did you deal with...
I think one thing good is that there is huge talent. They are very capable of doing a lot of things. It could be a Zomato, for example.
Yeah.
Somebody said we are poor not because of our resources, we are poor because of our policies.
You feel so much for people of India, for India per se. What is the politics scene? Over? Retired passengers would come up to you and tell you, I mean, there were times when you would also take the flight with the passengers and, they would tell
because,
you their experience and what were they would give you handwritten
many
letters.
times. No, many times because I had also put in the boarding card my email.
The father of Indian aviation, the person who made it possible for a common man to fly. Ex-Indian Army officer, a farmer, businessman और ना जाने कितने ही खिताब. आइए जानते हैं कैप्टन गोपीनाथ की कहानी उन्हीं की जुबानी. Where did this idea of Air Deccan come from? What was the real vision behind making the commoners fly?
Someone said vision is the art of seeing the invisible. The invisible is what? Is the future. You are seeing the future. So many people want to go and ask others, I want to do this, do you think it's okay? You want to go to a guru, a consultant. But he is not saying, or you want to go to another successful person and say, I want to do this. What do you say? He is not saying what you are saying. So 99% of the time they'll say, no, I don't think it will work. Right? And but if you are seeing it, others are not seeing it. So you have to have the belief and courage of conviction to believe in yourself. In Kannada, there's a proverb that if you have an abscess on your palm, you don't need a mirror. You can see it, right? When I was running the helicopter company, I found that there's a new India which did not exist when I started the helicopter. There was new optimism in the air. I could touch it, I could feel it, but I was not able to really get it. It was a buzz. And I remember people like Chandrababu Naidu or some minister would say, Captain, I'm no longer a minister. I can't hire a helicopter. Got to hire a helicopter from here to, let's say, Hubli or Belgaum. It will cost you, even in those days, it was costing you, going 1 lakh, coming 1 lakh. Right? 2 lakh rupees. He said, I can't afford it. I'm no longer a minister. So why don't you start a shuttle? Every day you do a thing. I said, no. I said, even if I do every day a flight, it will be more than, 20,000 rupees per seat. Nobody will go about 20,000 rupees. That's when I said, I must start an airline for the common people, because when I was in the US, I was on a flight. They were sitting next to me in a low-cost airline. There was a chap, a big guy in a tattoo. I asked him, what do you do? He said, I'm a carpenter.
So that's when you thought a carpenter in US could fly, then why not a carpenter in India?
Because that's when I said, if there is a failure of IBM, machinery in those days. A mechanic is more important.
Yeah.
If there's a huge machinery, a mechanic is more important, a carpenter is more important than the officer. Officer is also important, but he is more important because if the machinery breaks down, because like in an airline, if the engineer is not there, who in America call it mechanics, but if the chairman goes, what will he do? Or MD goes, or the CEO goes, what will he do? He's also there important, but the first guy who has to reach there is the engineer, right? So that's how the idea came. I said, common people should fly. And I realized, so I never asked, will I do it? The question was, how do I do it? So I said I had to find out ways of innovating models using the Indian mud and the Indian genius in the Indian context, because our rules and regulations are very, very cumbersome.
Must have been very challenging.
Antique. Even today, the aircraft rules of 1934, Aircraft Act of 34, they are modified. But the original Mother Act is Aircraft Act of 1934. So when the jet engine was not invented, the helicopter was not invented, the same rules are applied, but in a modified manner. But it can't modify beyond a point of that. So that's how I said I must start. And then I found that there were a lot of airfields which were unconnected. I found it because we had these small planes, and one day a chief minister wanted to go to some town where most of the ministers are also superstitious. They want to go to Godwin, they want to go to some temple. So he said that was too far for the helicopter. He said, look, it's too far. How can I go in a plane? So I sent my pilot I asked my pilot to let me know how many airfields are there in India. And before that I said, find out if there's any airfield near this place in Tamil Nadu called Palani, where there's a famous temple. So he came back after 2 hours and said, Captain, there's one airfield I saw in the old British survey map of army. There's one airfield there. I said, go and check it. So he took his GPS, went and checked, and there was an airfield there. And he sent me a photograph, and he said that there is some grass is there, that's okay, but there are some mounds there, termite mound. If that is removed, I can, it's a textile mill. So I went and met the owner, I spoke to him, he said it was a British textile mill, which was built then, where this aircraft could land on the grass. So then I told the chief minister, Mr. Krishna, I remember, he took him in the plane, and I said, how many airfields are there? He said there are 500 airfields like this which are not connected by the airlines. Some were airfields which were built by some minister because he was a minister, like Salem, Kumaramangalam, those old days. During Indira Gandhi's time, he was a minister, so he built an airfield because he was from Salem. Belgaum, there was another minister, so he built one there in Belgaum, but no flights were going. So I said, let's connect all these, and then I went and told the minister, civil aviation minister. I said, look, there are about these 500 airfields. I'm not asking you to give me 5 crores or 500 crores. He said, just give me 2 airfields, spend about 1 or 2 crores, and I'll launch. He said, which of the 2 you identify? I gave him 2. Then he called me and said, look, none of my people are believing what you're saying. None of my staff, this DGCA, civil aviation. Why don't you come and give a talk? So I went and gave a talk to them and I explained to them. I said, my fare, the average fare will be 50% of Jet Airways. If it is a 180-seater, 90 will be at 50%. 45 will be above 50% fare. Another 25%, so 25, 50, 25. Another 25 will be from 1 rupee to 4,000.
They couldn't believe the 1 rupee.
And 4,000 will be 90 seats. And 4,000 to 10,000, because Bangalore, Delhi those years was 12,500 rupees every seat. But plane was going empty. I said, I'll fill the plane, some with 1 rupee to 2,000 rupees, and 90%, 50% with 4,000, and 50% from 4 to 10,000. So average I must get 4.5 to 5,000, or 4,000 I should get to be breaking even. They didn't believe it. I gave this one. They said fine. So the idea became everybody's idea. It became a people's idea. So every clerk, would push my file a bit faster. Apart from the minister, because you also want the bureaucracy to help you. Because otherwise, every clerk there, every babu there will put some questions. And they said, yeah, this is अच्छा है, सबके लिए. They somehow believed it. If it is possible, why not? I don't lose anything. I have to just put a signature on the file. Even if there is corruption, we'll take it from somebody else. So that's how I think that sometimes when the idea is good, like Einstein, Emerson said, when if you believe it yourself, truly, sincerely, and with a great idea, the universe will conspire to make you succeed.
Did you really barge into Abdul Kalam's
Not
speech?
Abdul Kalam, the minister's office. They showed Abdul Kalam because they felt, showing a minister, they thought Abdul Kalam is good.
Yeah.
Politics, bureaucracy is evil.
Yeah.
In the director's mind. So Abdul Kalam is known to be good. So they showed him as the minister.
But you did barge into
I did barge into the office. And of course, I didn't hit anybody. I shouted, I lost my temper. But I had more difficulties, more dangers than what is shown in the movie also.
Oh.
But not some of the things which they are shown in terms of hitting and those kind of things. Or dancing, whatever he said. But anyway.
You don't dance? You don't dance?
No, not that.
We'll come to that point in a minute. What do you think of the aviation scene today?
I think today, unfortunately, there are two things which are trends which have happened. While we had only 3 airlines when I started, we had 10. 10 years before I started. You had East West, you had Raj Air, you had so many other airlines. All of them went bankrupt. Jet Airways survived. Sahara came a little later, that survived. But Jet and Air India. And 10 years earlier, only one airline, Air India, which became Air India Airlines. So Jet Airways did an extraordinary job. To be fair to him, of course he got into trouble later for other things.
But he did an extraordinary job in not letting you enter the
That's a different.
aviation space.
That's a normal trend in India, that people who get a license, they get it because the government allows you to get a license, because the rules allow you to get a license. But once you get a license, we do not want others to get a license. So we normally blame the politicians. So we have to blame the businessmen more. In the Nehru time also, you had nobody could get a car license, including Tatas, because Birlas had a control on it. They were making Ambassador, and as a competition they had Fiat.
So you were prepared for all this?
No. What I'm saying is that this is you're in America when Southwest Airlines started. It took him 3 years because there was another method where the airport, had these gates which airlines could purchase. So if you want to go from one main city to another main city, you don't get a gate. So Southwest said, okay, I'll go from a smaller airport to a smaller airport. Like, I'll go from Ludhiana, which doesn't have an airport, but there's an airfield. I'll not go from Delhi to Chandigarh. I'll go from Ludhiana to, let's say Hindon, which is close to Delhi. Just little. Right? So all these big airlines like TWA, Pan Am, those kind of big airlines. In America, you had American Airlines, those domestic biggies. Because aviation is 100 years old there. In 1903 aviation started there, right? And in 1970s, when Southwest started, they were already very powerful airlines. They ensured that Southwest did not start. But finally, the lawyer got so much involved in fighting the case, he became the CEO. And he made a big success of it. And same thing when Jet Airways started, Air India opposed it. Finally, Jet Airways started along with others. Everybody failed. Jet did a good job.
Yes.
But of course, it's a sad thing that when Jet was successful, he did everything to stop me. He said, yeah, what is this low-cost airline? Kaisa ho sakta hai? And so every day MP would ask questions in the parliament. Low cost is unsafe. Usko band karo. So every day the minister would call me, what is this and all that. So, but you also have to fight for it. And I fought. And there will always be, if 10 door closes, the 11th will open. Somebody is there who will open the door for you. You have to believe that there are bad people. There are corrupt people, but there are also good people in the bureaucracy. You must take them, because otherwise today a lot of people say, sir, I don't have any connections, I don't have money. No, it's not possible. That is how it has been from centuries. When you Maharaja's time, before independence, if you were if Chaprasi was close to the Maharaja, you would get access on something, right? So that is true then, it's true today, it will be true tomorrow. But there are always people, of course sometimes it can become excessively corrupt, but which has been the case sometimes in India, during some governments. But there are always people, there are always ministers, because there was a minister in Congress, there was a minister in BJP, and there was a minister in Janata Dal. When they were in power, they helped me without taking money. Because if you go with the money because you want to take jump the queue, or you had not got everything all right, or everything is all right, but you want to be, you're in a hurry, then obviously there's a middleman there in Delhi waiting to take your briefcase. He'll keep 50 and give 50 to minister or the bureaucrat, or he'll keep 90 and keep 10 to the minister. So we said we will not pay, and we never paid. And there were good people from the IAS, from the clerical level, from the minister's level who help. There will always be people who help. So you have to have that belief that while there is corruption, there is evil, there are also good things in life, right? There are also a lot of people who have succeeded in India and abroad by sheer determination and courage and hard work. Along with all that, you need hard work. And what bolte in Hindi, you say chal, the persistence. That persistence, not to give up, is more important than talent. Talent is God-given. So finally, we got the license, and we started with the 2 ATRs because we needed more funds for Airbus, so I could only get investment for. So with 5 crores, I started the airline with 2 ATRs. Our plan was initially to put 5 ATRs over 18 months, but at the end of 18 months, I had 18 aircrafts. I had both ATRs and Airbuses, and in 48 months, we put 48 aircrafts. 24 ATRs and 25 Airbuses. So we started with, it was also a plan, because I thought if there are 2 low-cost airlines, tomorrow it will come, then who will be more full? When a guy who only does Bombay Delhi, or a guy who also goes to Ludhiana and the smaller towns, because then when you land in Delhi, you go to those small towns, and those small towns also feed Delhi to the Bangalore.
There's so many startups today, and so many of them are successful as well. But you did this years ago, when you were so ahead of your times.
Yeah,
so
that's
like
the
I
way.
was asking this question, any plans of Deccan 2.0?
Yeah, but not in the airline. Something else.
So and also, again, how do you feel about the fact that this was a very successful startup then, and when you see these youngsters with a lot of successful startups today, post-COVID especially, so what is the feeling? How do you feel about it? You were so ahead of your times then, and today.
I think one thing good is that there is huge talent. They are very capable of doing a lot of things. It could be a Zomato, for example.
Yeah.
It could be any of these kind of, but they're largely uh, based in internet sector. What we need is that, well, in India you have got probably the third largest number of millionaires and third largest number of billionaires after 2-3 other countries. India has now more than 150 billionaires and quite a few millionaires. We also have the highest number of people below poverty line, both in numbers, absolute numbers, because we are a huge population, in percentage. Highest percentage of people in malnutrition, highest number of people in child mortality, school dropouts. These are the things which are indicative that the growth is not uniform. So the growth has to be uniform, which means you have to have connectivity, not only the internet and the telecom and things like that. You need connectivity of the railways, connectivity of roads, and connectivity of the airlines. Airline connectivity is integral to growth, because today long distance travel in Europe, long distance above 2 hours, though there are some trains now, high speed trains. India is not there. Like Delhi, Bangalore, which is now taking you 36 hours on train, you should be able to do it in 3.5 hours, right? In high speed train. What we require immediately is, how do you bring a large number of people who are unemployed? There's a huge unemployment, huge poverty, and the way for that is, this should not be only in this Zomatos of the world, which is good, I'm not decrying it, but we need a huge manufacturing sector for which we had to do something differently. Because India has many number of economists, very smart people, and Indians are very innovative and hardworking.
Since you feel so much for people of India, for India per se, what is the politics scene? Over? Retired? Done with?
No, I did it because at that time I felt about it. I contested twice.
You could have done a lot more for the common man, and we would want to see a leader like you. And
I'm sure the people there, the younger people who should do it. I'm doing whatever I could. I'm writing a lot now on these issues, on economy and politics and governance. And I like to encourage and mentor people.
Captain, you're so grounded, so approachable, so down to earth. But I'm sure with the success of Air Deccan came a lot of fame, a lot of money. Tell us about the vices as well. How did you deal with the female attention? How did you deal with, the contemporaries were largely enjoying that, and we'd never heard any gossip, any stories, any masala about you. There were calendar girls and poster girls, famous otherwise, but then with you, very clean chit, and but I'm sure there must be some story. Please tell us.
I know. Of course, what they say, what you see may not be the truth. But of course, you are running an airline. Sometimes you get carried away because there's so much of attention to you. You have so many people coming to you for jobs, not pilots, and so ministers call you to get a job for a pilot, or his son is a pilot. So many ministers. So obviously, it can go to your head. It does go to your head. It's not, everybody needs recognition. And also, you have, when you're famous and well-known, and a little bit of glamour attached to the job, and also wealth, if it comes. Also, not just if you're an airline, anybody, especially airline, because you have so many female people working there. Could be air hostesses, ground hostesses. But I think it's true everywhere that it is easy to be tempted And of course, uh, you can have fun, but sometimes you have to guard yourself, right? That's all,
So there were no favorites.
No,
there were
no,
no
they were
there
there,
were no
but
promises made that I'll make you a heroine, I'll make you the
no,
face of
no,
the airline,
no, no.
and you
But I have
will.
given jobs to a lot of air hostesses, many of them.
So no dancing,
No,
no
that's,
drinking.
no. Drink, of course. We used to have every. I used to go to all these 8 bases: Ahmedabad, Delhi, Calcutta, Bombay, where you would have all those 800, 900 people. They would have one socials where all the um, pilots, air hostesses, including the technicians and the ground handling, everybody would be there. And would be one big hall, there'd be dancing and there'd be liquor. And also before that, there'd be entertainment where the air hostesses and pilots and some of the other staff, not just them, they would do all these Bollywood dances and various other kind of entertainment. So it was good fun, and I also gave jobs to many air hostesses. Except I would ensure that the head of air hostess always had the freedom to reject. I said, look, if the girl meets all requirements, sometimes let's say there is a minister who says, look, you have to help me. I was not a saint who would say no. But I would say, okay, as a pilot, I still remember Venkaiah Naidu called me one day and said, became the vice president, there is a pilot, his father is an MLA, can you help? So then I called the chief pilot and said, look, can you, I believe he did not do well the first time, can you give him an exam again? But if he's unsafe, I have told the minister already, I can't take him if he's unsafe, because it is not only his life, it is everybody else's life. If the pilot itself is unsafe.
True.
So reject him. So someone said I rejected, many times I helped also. I said, if there are 100 pilots who are qualified and 10 vacancies, if he is also qualified, give him a preference. So that's it. But anyway, that's how life has been.
And also, Captain, you were quite approachable in terms of the stories that we've heard, and we would like to know from you as well, that passengers would come up to you and tell you, I mean, there were times when you would also take the flight with the passengers, and they would tell
because,
you their experience and what were they would give you handwritten letters.
Many times. No, many times because I had also put in the boarding card my email. So every email would come to me. I also had access to it. I could check it right, but I had someone who was in customer service who would main job was to get all this one to me emails, and I would then talk to that customer directly. And also in the airline, the flight was there. Yeah. I would go with the air hostess and serve. Of course, we'd charge them. When I say serve, I have to serve, but I would get an opportunity to speak to the passenger, to get a feedback, to talk to them. Right?
So what does a day in your life look like today? What is your routine like?
Today, as you know, we still have the charter company. I did not sell this to Vijay Mallya. This I kept. This is a small company. We have about 35 aircrafts across the country. More than 35, 40 I think, which we operate and maintain. Corporates, we do it for tourism, except this year we did not do it in Hemkund. Otherwise, we were having 4 helicopters in the north near Badrinath. Then for 10 years we had a helicopter in Vaishno Devi. Even now we do charters for VIPs, ministers, but it is not in the low cost because this is what we started with. This did not give. We also do infrastructure work for BSF. We got helicopters. With just the contract ended for anti-terrorism operation. We give helicopters for aerial survey, for minerals, aerial mapping, and aerial photography, tourism, a whole lot of things, and this kind of infrastructure work. And also we are maintaining helicopters of corporates like Reliance, Mukesh Ambani, some aircraft of Jindal, government. I think we're still maintaining the helicopter in Haryana and Punjab for the Punjab government. So we are in about 13 locations They got helicopters and turboprops and business jets. Small company, but.
So then what is the routine like? What do you do? Like you get up in the morning, go
Yeah.
for a walk.
I go for a walk every day, 365 days, and I do yoga twice or three times a day. Then I come here at least about 4 or 5 days a week. I got a CEO and I got a CFO, and I have a director who look after the day-to-day operations. They have given them total freedom. But I come to be plugged with them because my family has still shareholding, and I have also given them stock, but I also wanted them to have growth. So I have given them the stock options. So they manage it. They are also committed. They have been with me the last 15 years. And then I write a lot, and then I go and give talks here and there. Sometimes I do interviews like this. I do go to all these universities and for convocation sometimes. Sometimes to corporates. To the corporates I charge because it's commercial for giving a talk. But for the initial management, IIT, schools, colleges, I can't accept everything, but where I accept, I do it free. As a just to inspire kid. Even one kid gets inspired. Then I go to my village once a month and go to my farm, spend 4 or 5 days and come back.
What has been the family support like during those days?
So as the movie has shown that part very, very well, that when even in the movie itself, the hero, regardless of which movie, hero doesn't want the heroine to shine. That is like gender bias in India. The famous hero, he doesn't want, even though how famous the heroine is, he doesn't want. If Shah Rukh Khan is there, the focus has to be on Shah Rukh Khan, not on the. Just putting a name. It could be Shah Rukh Khan, it could be anybody else. It should be on the heroine, right? We hear from all the directors that they are very particular about it, that he has to be shown. And therefore you have some heroine-based movies like Vidya Balan's, or we had that with that where she acted in English. What's her name? Sridevi, where she was a heroine. Vidya Balan was a heroine, but largely it is hero-driven, and they control the market, control the director in such a manner that there is enough light on the heroine, but not too much. Even in my movie, to an extent, it's there. But what the director did very, very smartly, she's a lady called Sudha Kongara. She used to work under Mani Ratnam. She said that normally what happens is, no, you be at home. It's also very important to taking care of the kids, and home is also as sacred as the job. So husband works and you look after the kids. So if she is talented and if she has her own dreams, you suppress it. So she has shown that it's okay to support the husband initially because you are still a housewife, because you are not done a MBA from Harvard. Sometimes if you are an MBA from Harvard or BE from IIT, then both of you are at work and both of you continue to work. But in a typical arranged marriage, if she is a graduate or she is very smart, but she is not allowed to work. So that part has come out very well in the movie, in the Tamil movie, and also in the Hindi movie. That help your husband, but don't lose your own identity. Your own identity.
So she still runs a bakery.
Yeah, she was a 30th
and
year.
And post this movie release, do people come and they want to meet her?
Yeah, because after the movie, so many have gone to her bakery to see which is this bakery. The bakery is still there in Malaysia. And it's, if you have the time, you can go and see tomorrow.
And we've seen this movie wherein we are like, you're dancing like a complete crazy person.
That's all a lot of fun.
So is it the cinematic liberty that they've taken, or was it that you were like so happy and dancing and then she saw you?
That's all a lot of masala. Otherwise people won't see the movie. They put a lot of masala. Now of course even Bollywood has made the movie. I don't know if you know about it.
Yes, Akshay Kumar has
so they've taken some liberties because even in Gandhi they took liberties, but of a different kind. But like they say, beneath the masala there's meat. A lot of masala on the chicken tikka, but beneath that there is meat. The meat, the underlying story is that it is the triumph of spirit, triumph of persistence over um, hardships, over difficulties, over adversity.
And Captain, also a little bit about the politics scene. We've heard you say that the leaders these days are just lesser of the evil. Everybody's the same.
No, I didn't say
So-
that. No, I didn't say. What I meant was there is corruption, which was there always, which is there in every party. But there are also good people. Sometimes they are part of the system, they can't help it. Sometimes they are not corrupt, but they go along with it. They don't have the courage because he'll be suspended, he'll be thrown out, all kind of things. He'll be harassed. There'll be a case against him, even though he is not corrupt, because if he says the minister is corrupt, then the minister may put a case on him. So there are people in the system who are good. They are us. They are all us in the mirror. They are all our own brothers, sisters, and cousins, right? But what I said was that when you are, that two individuals, both are corrupt. What do? Don't sit at home and go on a vacation for a weekend. I says, choose the lesser of the evil. The two parties, both are bad. Don't say, I will not vote for this, I will not vote for that. Choose amongst the two parties, whichever is better, because having some party is better than having no party and having only one party. Whichever party is there, we had to have, if Congress was there, it was very important to have a strong opposition, which was not there during the first 30, 40 years of independence. We need to have strong opposition and a strong government. And it's always good for those in power to lose power, whosoever, so that they can live under the rules that they make. That's what I said.
Captain, tell us about your early life journey from being an army officer to the father of Indian aviation, as you're fondly remembered by people today.
Oh, thank you. There's two big words, too many big words. Let me just give a little brief before the army. I'm from a small village called Gorur in rural Karnataka. It's about 4 hours from here. And my father was a teacher in that village. So I went to school there. In fact, I went to school only in my 5th standard. Till the 5th, my father never put me to school. He said, anyway, the school is some kind of a jail, so you play as much as you can.
So were you studying till that time at home?
At home, yeah. My father used to come back from school, and before going to school for about half an hour, 1 hour, depending on when I was 1st standard or 2nd or 3rd, he would teach me at home. And like someone said, education is what you remember after you learnt everything in school.
Yeah.
So I went in my 7th standard. Someone came in the school, the headmaster, I remember, he said that there's an exam for a military school. Does anybody would like to apply for that? And I was the only kid, who said yes. So I think I was some kind of a dreamer. And to dream, to venture out of the village, to seek new horizons. More not that I knew anything about the army, except that in the villages we used to have these military hotels, which my father said. I said, what is it? They said the military. They wouldn't say, like they say Brahmins hotel. They would say military hotel. That means they give some non-vegetarian there, non-vegetarian food, because military is strong. So that's how I felt, I must leave the village and go and see something different. So I went to the district headquarters in a bus to take an exam for the entrance school it's called a Sainik school, which was a military school.
Did English come in your way
So
Did
the
you
first
not
when
clear
I
the
went,
first attempt because of English?
when I went there, I failed because the exam was in Kannada, and I studied in a Kannada medium school. I went barefoot to a school, so I came back and tears in my eyes and told my headmaster and my father that I couldn't understand anything because the science was in English, the basic science for a seventh standard. This one, the um, social studies, history, that was all in English. So I was sort of, I
Captain,
failed.
today when you talk, when we see your other interviews, we really have to refer to a dictionary with the kind of words that you use from English language.
That's
And
that
if
only shows that
your dedication to learn the language and master it.
you have to be interested in it. You have to be curious about it. Like Einstein said, I'm not a genius, but I'm infinitely more curious. So Mary Curie, the only woman to have won 2 Nobel Prizes, she said, "Don't be interested in people. Be curious and interested in ideas." But the thing that remained with me was that the headmaster, I came to know it later. He came back after 3 months. Said, "There's Gopi. There's one more exam being given. This time in Kannada. Would you like to go?" Again, I was the only one who went. The other kids in the school did not venture out. For
Did you
whatever
not feel
reason.
nervous about it that there's
No,
nobody
this time
else?
it was the second. It was in Kannada. He said, "Why don't you go?" So what happened was that sitting in that village, he took a postcard, and in that village post office, he wrote a letter to the people in the defense ministry, because Sainik school, though the Karnataka government had given the lands and also given its contribution, it was funded largely and controlled by the defense ministry, all the Sainik schools. So he wrote to the defense ministry saying that this is totally ridiculous. English is not intelligence. English is another language like Kannada or Hindi or Tamil. So if you want people from rural areas to join you, then you should give them an exam in the language they speak at home.
True.
So I went again. This time I passed, but that showed me that never take no for an answer, and also question, everything. Question the beliefs. Question whatever your. Like Bertrand Russell said, it's always good to hang a question on things long taken for granted.
Yeah, true.
Everybody does it because the other person does it. So I went, this time I passed, and I joined Sainik school. I was there for 4 years. And Sainik school doesn't give you entry to military. It prepares you for a military exam for the National Defense Academy. And largely, the people were from the north, from Punjab and from Haryana and UP, Rajasthan, Delhi, that area dominated. And in the south, it was more Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Karnataka was absolutely zero then. I think even today, barring Coorg, Karnataka is like Gujarat. Hardly anybody joins the army.
Did you feel nervous?
Who?
You? Did you feel nervous?
No. So initially it was a bit different because I studied in the village school, and I had never worn shoes in my life.
Oh.
Those kind of things. So next 4 years I was in Sainik school. Then I took the exam for an NDA that is given by the UPSC, which conducts exams for IAS, IPS, and IFS, and to Army joint exam. So I took the exam, and I in my class only 3 got selected. 2 joined Air Force, and I joined the Army wing. NDA is in Khadakwasta. It's a small village outside Pune. It's actually part of Pune, about 13 kilometers on the lake. I was already a bit broken in the Sainik school. But the NDA was a true ground. And after 3 years of NDA, I joined the Indian Military Academy in Dehradun. And I passed out in 71 in June. And I went straight to the School of Artillery, Devlali. And that was 71 June. And the training was supposed to be till December end. But within 3 months, the course was cut short because of the bugle of war, or there was war in the air.
So you had
And there was
finished your
protests.
training and you were a
Yeah.
part of this.
So what happened was, in the military, rule was imposed, and emergency was imposed on East Pakistan. My course was cut short, and my batch, not the Air Force and Navy, because they had to fly and to learn the flying. So I was the first officer to be commissioned from my school, and so my batch, course was cut short. We were also sent to the border. So some of us went to the West Pakistan border, and some went to the East Pakistan border. And my unit was in Sikkim. And on the day I joined Sikkim, my unit was asked to move to Bangladesh border. It was not Bangladesh, East Pakistan border, and we moved there in October, by which time the Mukti Bahini was being trained by the Indian Army. There was already a rebellion. A lot of people were put in jail, a lot of killings were happening, a lot of women were raped, and it was totally chaos in East Pakistan. Then the attack went in, and I went with my unit. I was in the war for about those 3 months initially, where the skirmishes were there. Then the full-scale war took place. But the Pakistani army was so degenerate, so disorganized at that time, and they were cut off from the mainland. The initial battles were bloody and tough, but within 15 days, they started retreating, and I was in Dinajpur and Rangpur, and the war was over. So in my own unit, we lost some soldiers, we lost some officers, and a lot of Indian army people whom I knew. We were having a drink with him in the evening one day, in the makeshift mess. Morning, he's not there. So it was a very traumatic experience for anybody, and also a great learning. It was not a lesson in generosity, any kind of war. So after the war, my what 100,000 Pakistanis surrendered to General Arora, and then Niazi was, stripped of his ranks, and they were all sent to the prisoner of war camp, and the war came to an end, and Bangladesh got created, which is now again back in the news. So after the war, I was in my unit moved back to Sikkim in the Chinese border. I was in the Chinese border for about 1.5 years at a place called Chola next to Nathula at 15,500 feet. That's where I did a lot of reading. And then after 18 months in the Chinese border, I did some courses in counterintelligence and gunnery and other things. Then I went to Kashmir. Then I was in Rajasthan. Then I was in Trivandrum. A new brigade was opened in Trivandrum because of the southern threat of the Sri Lankan instability. So after about 8 years of service,
you decided to retire.
8 years of training, 4 years in Science School, 3 years in. So I took a premature retirement and came back to my village.
That's when you started farming and other businesses.
So for 10 years, I got into farming. I said, if I work hard, I didn't see any reason why. You don't believe the sun will not rise tomorrow. I did not believe that if I put a seed, it will not grow. And I think even the farmers gave me that optimism that that what is optimism is that things go bad, things don't work out. You have setbacks in life, but you don't give up. You don't say things are bad and sit back. Worrying will not solve anything, right? So with that kind of optimism, I went, and of course I went through hell, and but saw heaven. Like someone said, to see heaven, you have to go through the gates of hell. So like all farmers, I got into trouble, I got into debt, I got out of debt. Anyway, at the end of it, because I knew that my farm was not paying, and after 2 years, I was living in a tent. because it was a barren land, so I didn't have any money. I said I must not invest anything on luxuries. I must put all money into whatever is productive. You know, I said I'll have coconuts that will take 10 years. I'll have, in the meantime, I'll have bananas, it will take 1 year to give. I'll have crops, which will 3 months. I'll have a dairy, which will give me milk every day. I'll have silkworming, it gives me yield once in 45 days. And I have a poultry, it will give me. So all these kind of dreams I was visualizing. And as I was dreaming, I was also deciding. So I used to have a motorcycle in those days. So I found that when I went to the district headquarters, the motorcycle shop was closed. It was 7 o'clock in the evening. It was about to rain, and they said this guy has shut shop and gone. It's a district headquarters for a region. So I went to Madras instead of going to my farm, and I went and met the people there. I said, "Why don't you give me the dealership?" He said, "Captain, you are a farmer. Before that, you are an army officer. Normally, they give it to people who are typically in that, who are Banyas, who are Marwadis, those kind of people, because they are in that business of trading." And so you have no experience. But I said, "Look, I have no experience, but what I do know is you are doing a bad job of customer service, and because I own a motorcycle, I know what a customer wants." So he liked what I said, and he said, "Okay, take the dealership." So I had a Enfield motorcycle dealership. I added Honda scooters for that, Luna mopeds. Then I made 8 branches in Hassan and surrounding the Taluk and district headquarters.
And then some restaurants along with everybody would come for repairs, and then they would eat in the
Yeah,
restaurant.
they would come to the restaurant. I had a Udupi hotel. So a whole lot of things I did.
Right, Captain. It was absolutely amazing meeting you today, getting to know so much from your life experiences. And as we've always heard from people who've interacted with you, worked for you, that you are a very down-to-earth person, very grounded still.
Thank you.
Even I've experienced this today as I sit here and interact with you.
Thanks
for
for coming and taking all the trouble. I'm very happy that today I met an old colleague of mine, Supreet, who's now become an entrepreneur in her own right by launching her own podcast and YouTube channel. And she's as vivacious today and as vibrant as she was then, and gracious. I'm wishing her all the best and for her channel. All right.